I was gonna play a new intro, but I guess we'll do it
No,
next
do
time.
the new intro.
No, it's not a new intro. It's just something stupid.
What?
Oh, do it.
No, I gotta find it. It's no big deal.
Well,
It's time for Red Salad Review with your hosts, Wayne Noon, Greg Narlo, and Lou Max.
look how outdated that is. No mention of the legendary Stan.
No, well,
And
he's
James rarely comes on nowadays.
no James ain't on there. Oh, he
Well,
is mentioned at the end. All right, yeah, I
it
gotta
does
fix
Yeah.
it.
say random appearances, but
Well, it does. You're right. Technically, it is correct.
Yeah,
Well,
we need
welcome to Rat Salad Review. What are you saying? What's the matter, Stan? What do you want?
we need Uncle Saxon back on the show.
Uh, actually, you should have him on because he talks about gardening now.
He does. He does a lot of gardening.
Yeah, he gardens while he smokes. It's a very, very unique talent.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's
so
maybe he's planting cigarettes. I don't know.
yeah,
Catman is
I
here. Roll
hope
the
so.
intro. And we did roll the
So
intro. But this Catman, Greg, Manny, Wayne, and Stan. Yes, Stan is here. And
the
maybe one day I will put you on the intro, Stan.
All right.
I've been telling Manny that for the past 3 years, and I still haven't added him.
no, I don't want
His
to.
name's there.
Yeah, I don't want to fucking.
it's
bump
too
in.
complicated, isn't it?
It really is because I have to get the guy to make a Manny,
That's
character.
right. Yeah, you didn't make it. That's right. I
No, I
forgot
didn't.
Dude, ain't I a character enough? You don't need to make a character of a character. Anyway, back to Stan. We were talking about alternative rock and the way I see the terminology. And the
Mhm.
80s, like heavy metal meant something finally in the 90s where they started kind of, I guess maybe in the 80s, they kind of started, you know, defining the genre more or genres in the case of heavy metal. So alternative rock basically became in the 90s anything that wasn't heavy metal or pop. I mean, if you think about it, because it included everyone from bands like Belly to Live to Four Non Blondes to I don't know. Anyone else want to help me out?
I
It
wouldn't
included
even
everything.
I wouldn't even say not metal or pop. It was more during the 90s, I would say, especially with alternative and really honestly starting in the mid to late 80s. You had a lot of these bands that had so many different influences that still played rock, but they incorporated several different styles where it wasn't easy to pigeonhole them,
Yeah.
is how I would describe it.
Well, it's not a
It-
bad description,
like
but
Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. I mean, they sound to me they sounded like they were metal bands.
Well,
You know?
Yeah.
Soundgarden, and the Melvins, their biggest influence is clearly Black Sabbath.
Right.
hmm
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's interesting you mentioned Soundgarden and not so much the Melvins, but Nirvana, which we'll talk about. There
no,
was a
we won't.
magazine. Yeah, we will. Nirvana rules. Anyway,
No, they
back,
don't. That condescending little piece of shit.
dude. If you know what, he was great. I like Nirvana.
Oh, really? You think he was a poet like every other teenage girl?
I'm not a fucking teenage girl, all right. And I do think he was.
Do you want to be?
Actually, I do think he had. I don't think he was a poet, but he had a way with
Mhm.
words. I don't think it's quite poetic.
They were the most overrated band of all time, but continue.
All right.
I
Well,
never
then
looked
the
at.
show. Well,
I
then the
never.
show's over because my opinion doesn't matter. So, see, I'm done.
I'm going to change the name of the show. Your opinion doesn't matter.
You know what? That would probably get more more
Probably would.
viewership.
It might. It might be an idea. But I
No,
like
but
Nirvana too. And actually, Nirvana was a huge influence on me, especially with Dave Grohl and his drumming. That influenced me a lot.
Really?
Yeah, a lot.
Huh,
I
I
think
don't
he's
hear
a
a lot
really.
of that in your drumming, actually. Surprised.
Uh, well,
I'm
I
actually surprised, Greg, that you don't think. Actually, what do you think of? Actually, I was not assume. What is your opinion of him as a drummer? Forget Nirvana for a minute, just his drumming.
On Grohl,
Yeah, Grohl.
he's a pretty good drummer. I honestly, I think his more interesting stuff was done after Nirvana.
Mhm.
Mm.
But because he's a lot more creative than that. Honestly, I think kind of when he got he didn't really change his playing style, but he definitely expanded more. Once you
Well,
get
David,
Probot and Foo Fighters and things like that. But
well,
he's very talented and very inventive.
I think he's interesting, and we're as usual we're on a tangent, which is what we do best,
It's all right.
ladies
That's
and
what-
gentlemen.
We're talking about topic of the show. That's fine.
I
We're not
do-
venturing off into something else that's not a topic of the show, so it's fine.
I do
Don't
think
worry,
someone should
I'll
ban
get there.
him
I will
from-
get there. We'll get there. But it's kind of interesting because I talked about Nirvana. I am a fan. Greg's not. Big deal. But I do think that if Kurt Cobain hadn't killed himself, I still think that band would have split up or Dave Grohl would have left because he was as great as a drummer he is. I think it was a little too talented and probably creatively stifled because let's face it,
His-
Nirvana
definitely.
was Kurt Cobain's band, period.
Well, and honestly, I mean, his drug issues aside, and you can feel however you want about his the music they made and stuff like that. But he was very limited as a songwriter. Past in Utero, I just don't see that have lasted very long.
I don't know. We just don't know. That's the thing. We don't know.
Well, we kind of know because if you have listened to like a lot of the B-sides that were left over, not B-sides, but like all the demos and things like that. I have a lot of that stuff, and there really wasn't much there. There wasn't like things that you would say, "Oh, this could be on another album." It just, I don't know.
No, and honestly, see, this is kind of tough to say because you did have Mudhoney and Green River and shit before that, but I would say Bleach was the true game changer. And even though he wasn't going for fame because he hated fame, I would say really on Nevermind, they kind of almost ended up maybe not really compromised, but there's more Killing Joke and REM in Nevermind, I feel like, than there was the actual Seattle sound itself.
Well, I won't. I hear a lot of Pixies personally in the songwriting approach.
Dude, Come As You Are is totally 80s by Killing Joke. He
Yeah.
deserved
Yeah,
to
well-
get sued for that one.
Well, I hear a lot of.
I can attest to that.
I hear a lot of Pixies. I never heard the similarity till somebody pointed out. I don't know why. I mean, I know what you mean when you hear it, but what I was gonna say though about Nirvana and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, I forgot what the magazine was called. It was an industry magazine you can get anywhere, CMC or something like that, not the record label.
Mhm.
And those first couple of those three albums, when they became major label acts, were marketed as heavy metal bands, if you remember. It didn't last long because but especially interesting in Nirvana's case because clearly they had metal influences, but they came more from the punk indie side of things, in my opinion.
The term grunge is totally an invention of the record companies and music magazines.
That's true, but so is hair metal, but it's now an accepted genre tag. I mean, you are right, Greg. There really was no. Soundgarden, those guys didn't sit around and go, "We are grunge," or whatever the hell,
No,
I'm just talking about it getting lumped in under the umbrella and being that. Well, we talked about this when we did if it killed metal or whatever, but I mean, you take Mudhoney or Bleach, Nirvana's first album, and then compare it to Ultra Mega OK and Louder Than Love by Soundgarden. The Soundgarden and even Facelift by AIC, they're clearly working off the metal side of it, whereas Mudhoney and Bleach, if they're rooted in anything, I would say Black Flag's My War. Honestly, I kind of feel like that album specifically is what kicked off this sound. I mean, the second side of My War is basically what the early grunge bands were doing.
Well, a lot of that hardcore scene that you mentioned definitely was a huge influence on every single one of those bands you mentioned. But also, like you pointed out, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains are on the more on the metal side, and also as you pointed out earlier, specifically Black Sabbath. You know, so anyway, interesting points there. And are you going to introduce us to Lou, who just joined us their way?
Yeah, Lou's here.
I need no introduction. Hey guys, sorry, having issues with the old MacBook Air.
Oh, what else?
It's all right.
You know, I had a problem signing on to Zoom myself tonight. It just didn't want to connect at first.
Well, you know, I had a problem with Pornhub, and
That's your problem.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't believe that because of how busy you are working your way up and down the bar skank ladder. But
hey, I like
Well, man,
I
hey, we're
like
not
my,
judging because that's how you set your
Yeah.
standards. It's okay.
But it did. Instead of who else but Quagmire, who else but Manny?
It's Manny, Gady,
You never
know,
Gady.
know
Hey,
who
do
he's
me.
gonna bone next.
you know that really hurts, guys. Ever since I found Jesus, I
That's
haven't
what
been
she
boning
said.
as much. I haven't been boning as much.
I
Actually, I
found
did have
Jesus too. I have him in the trunk.
you know, I had a Messiah complex because every time I slept with a girl, they'd go, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." Anyway, go ahead.
You have a Messiah complex. Are you joining Candlemass anytime soon?
Well, Lou, you were going to say something,
should,
and I believe Stan was going to say something.
I'll let Stan go first because I never know what I'm saying.
Instead of Mother Love Bone, should put Manny Love Bone.
Mother Love Bone.
Yeah.
Fuck,
That-
what a, oh my God.
That
That's
kills it for
brilliant, Wayne. I'm writing that down right here.
I would, and I'm glad to see that Lou is still bleeding from the ears. By the way,
What?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
well-
I'm gonna keep this up for the rest of the year.
Oh, I see it now.
you see it now.
Well, you were talking, so you were bigger. He's over in a corner. So.
Yeah, he was bleeding from the ears last week, and he's still doing it this week. And glad you're here, Lou.
Thanks. Please don't mind my audible period.
Jesus H.
Wow. Which brings me to the mentors. She insisted that she wanted the ball. I said, "Shut up."
You know,
bitch."
I really think we need to
Come
cover the
right
mentors
on.
on the show.
I did a show. Manny, were you on that episode on Almost Human like 2 weeks ago? On that
What did
mentor
we
show?
talk about?
The
No,
mentors.
because I hate that.
No,
I hate that fucking band.
you
So,
do.
Really?
I never listened to
Yeah.
them until we did that show. And
You know that their whole purpose is to be offensive, right?
yeah.
I'm not offended by their lyrics. I just think they're shitty. Plus, old douchebag used to. I don't know where he's from. I didn't meet him, but my friend Sam, he met him. Maybe they played a gig over at the Brass Mug or something. But it's what you expected—a fat, drunk, white guy. You know. I'm not kidding. I mean, I wasn't there, but that's what I was told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they are. But I'll never listen to that again. I don't know. It
Yeah,
was okay.
I-
Some stuff was okay, but
I love Up the Dose and You Axed for it. Those are classic records. After that, they should have packed it in. You can
Yeah.
only carry a joke so far.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I never. I mean, that one lyric made me laugh only because Chipper Gore read it, which is classic. I wish I found that clip.
Oh
Your
yeah,
face-
she read Golden
Yeah.
Showers and
Yeah, your face is my toilet paper. Come and smell my anal vapors.
I do know Anthrax sampled that line for "I'm the Man."
Yep.
Right. Yeah. It's funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Well, getting back on topic, our favorite alternative and grunge bands. But like I mentioned in the show, alternative music or grunge or whatever is really what started me getting into music and even heavy metal because I liked Metallica and Guns N' Roses. Those are like and Def Leppard. Those are like my three bands I listened to. But then once Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden came out, that opened up this whole other world. And then to find out all these bands that they were influenced with, and they made me go back and check out some of the metal bands and stuff that they liked, and that it just opened up like a whole new world for me. So I know people always pick on the grunge bands and it killed metal and stuff like that. It didn't for
That's
me.
all bullshit.
It
Yeah.
never did for me because it opened up more metal bands for me to get into. So I always loved grunge and alternative, and I love metal. It's like kind of like an even thing. Like you see my collections, it's metal or it's alternative rock or something like indie alternatives too. So I'm like all over the place, but without alternative or grunge, I don't know, where I would be musically.
Sure.
Yeah,
You'd
I
probably
think
be a polka drummer.
I could be.
I think that generation of musicians doesn't necessarily have to be the grunge guys, but they were influenced by a lot of music, not just. I mean, they were influenced by your basic guys, Black Sabbath, Queen. At the time, they didn't admit it, but as time went on, they would.
Right.
But they also like stuff like the Pixies and Public Image, and
Well, I think a lot of them admitted it at the time, but I think your biggest difference and the reason alternative is such a broad category is, these guys came from a generation later where it was more acceptable to experiment with the music like a lot of these bands in the 70s. Whereas when heavy metal really started taking hold and fermenting around 80, 81, most of the older bands, whether they were their influenced by them or not, was written off as dinosaur bands. There didn't seem to be that animosity with the alternative crowd anyway. I mean, there's a lot of these crying little pussies who don't call me metal and all this shit, but I think you're much more likely to get somebody from this era of bands to admit they like Kiss than you would a thrash metal band, even though I'm sure they were both raised on them.
you're absolutely correct because Mike McCready and Jeff Emmett, or however you say his name, from Pearl Jam. Thank you very much, sir.
Yep.
They're huge Kiss fans, so you're not wrong on that, Greg. You're right. Early on, those guys said so.
Well, Pearl Jam's even played Black Diamond live on stage at Madison Square Garden with Ace Frehley on guest guitar.
Oh, that's right. That was Pearl Jam.
And
I thought that was Vedder solo for some reason.
And Mike McCready himself is also he does a charity concert. I think it's annual, where he gets together with like a bunch of his friends from his area, and they play a tribute to UFO. In fact, I think they do the entire Strangers in the Night album. So yeah, there's a lot of that arena rock stuff that influenced them. I just think they didn't want to be lumped in with the spandex, big hair, corporate rock of the time, which I don't blame them.
I don't either, but go ahead.
I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with making money as a musician. If you could do it, great. But let's face facts. Not everyone who's playing in a band that's signed to a label and makes a living from it, they probably don't like what they're doing. They realize that they're just doing it because it's a business. So they write what they have to sell records and remain relevant to the critics.
I don't totally disagree with you, but I think a lot of hair metal, which I'm using the term just because it's what we use now, I think a lot of that is unfairly maligned. I think a lot of it's very good. I think there are a lot of musicians that were in there. And honestly, it did get formulaic, but the people that made it formulaic are bands that I love. Aerosmith they hired Dennis
Desmond Child.
Thank you. And other people to co-write with them. Even my hero, here I go, I'm going to mention him. Even Alice Cooper got, co-wrote with some of those guys. So, and it wasn't just them. Bon Jovi, Kiss.
I think that's the wrong aspect of looking at it like that, though, because you're talking about bigger bands that were already big that brought in an influence like Desmond Child. What's really killed that scene, I believe, or just metal in general, and it started eating its own tail. I mean, for every Dokken or Rat you had 50 Britney Foxes in the wings behind them that were just awful, but got pushed by these labels ridiculously. It was way oversaturated. And I mean, you can argue that happens with any genre that's popular at a certain point in time. Like it certainly happened with hip hop in the early to mid 2000s, but
Oh, you're giving it.
especially since that was during the height of the MTV era, you had some really egregious stuff that was getting pushed that did not deserve it.
I think you're being too kind, Greg. I think when Biggie and Tupac died, and hip hop started sounding completely homogenized, where eventually bling bling would become part of the verbal echelon. To me, that's when it started to die for me as an art form. I mean, you had a
Well-
couple of really good rappers in there. I mean, Wu-Tang, I think, deserves all the credit in the world for being, an original ensemble of rappers who were doing their own thing. I loved Onyx and Slam. What's that?
P Diddy.
No, fuck him. He's the death of rap.
Yeah.
Well,
Pretty
he's
much.
also the death
That's
of,
when it turned to shit.
Well, what's really sad about P Diddy is that the baby oil stocks have gone down. He's in jail.
I think every genre of
all
music
these-
goes through that, like what Greg said. It just gets oversaturated. Even grunge and alternative, it got really old, saturated, and it kind of just like faded and fizzled out. There's still obviously the bands are still around, but they're not big like they used to be. Not at all.
No, and
Other than
I
Pearl
really
Jam.
don't think you can say anything quite had the overbearing grip that metal did, because grunge killed it, this and that. Well, shit like Bad English was still top of the charts come 91, 92. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, you're right. You're right.
It had a hold, and it got more watered down as it went.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about, okay, we'll forget about the bigger bands, but organically, the whole hair. See, we are on a tangent. See, I told you, Stan, that would happen. Anyway, the organically, Rat, Motley Crue, say what you want, like them, love them, indifferent, Dokken. Those guys, that is what they sounded like. And then later on, you had your Warrants and Poison. I actually don't mind any of those bands. I know a lot of people hate them, but I also recognize that these bands are all right. We're gonna put in. We're gonna put out a rocker, and then it's gonna be an anthem, and then we're gonna get the chicks in with their ballad to show that us hairy ass men have a heart too, and that killed it. So
Yeah, because everybody had to have a ballad.
I know.
Every time you turn
My
MTV on, it was
ballad.
always some kind of ballad. It's like, all right, enough.
I know. I mean, my ballad was rejected by my label, Baby Oil Blues, and
Oh,
they would
God.
they would not release it. I would have been ahead of my time. That damn Sean Puffy Combs stealing my shit. Anyway, I'm
Literally.
really upset by that. Still,
I couldn't tell.
who do you think dropped the dime on him? Anyway,
Stan, you're actually the one who brought this topic up. So what's your journey into like grunge and alternative?
I mean, it's among the first things that I first started listening to, like, watching the stuff on MTV when I was a kid. So Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Like, I discovered these bands practically the same time I discovered Iron Maiden, Deep Purple, and I never looked at them as being like, I never understood the concept of like subgenres. To me, it was just like everything was just under one giant umbrella.
Right.
So
So
it's like
you got exposed like I did.
yeah, like I either like it or I don't. I
Right.
don't give a shit what what the style of it is or whatever like that, or how the guys look
Mm.
or whatever. But to me, if the song's good, the song's good. So, and yes, I was really into Nirvana
Yeah.
at the time. So like a lot of kids, you know what I mean. But I think like that whole like I never pay attention to lyrics though. So and I
Well,
know-
you weren't missing much there.
Yeah, I mean, like I know in the grunge thing, like like the lyrics are more like personal and more depressing and stuff. But like I never really paid much attention to that shit. I only, like to me, I just hear the melody, and that's kind of what I resonate with. Like like how everything is just put together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, like I have a list of songs that I quickly put together. It's a very safe list. Nothing, nothing crazy, but again, it's stuff that like everything just kind of like triggers like a memory
Right.
back of my brain. You know what I mean? So that that's the biggest reason why I picked them. But yeah, so
Right. What was the first grunge band you got into? Was it Nirvana?
it was Nirvana. Yeah.
Nirvana.
Then after that, Soundgarden. And Soundgarden was so fucking different too. I mean, like they're both considered grunge, but they're just very stylistically different. And you see how like musically, like we listen to the most like diverse musical genre in the world,
Mhm.
and yet there are people who just like fucking argue with each other. This sucks. This doesn't sound like this. This doesn't. It's like, come on. It's like, just be happy it's there. I mean, look at all this crazy, amount of music that you have.
Right.
I think that's the entire problem with the metal genre in general today, all the little subgenres and all that. And it's kind of funny because I saw Geezer Butler mention, oh, back in the 70s, we wouldn't have had to change and we could have just done another metal album referring to technical ecstasy. And it's like, well, that's boring as hell if you don't experiment. Shut up, Geezer. Take a nap.
Greg, what was
I
your what Manny?
no, go ahead.
Oh, what was your introduction to grunge or alternative?
Well, I mean, Nevermind was everywhere, so I may have heard that first, but Soundgarden was what caught my attention. And
Hmm.
did Outshine have a music video?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it
Yeah.
was
Yeah, it did.
Outshine.
It
Yeah,
did. Yeah.
that was the one that first really grabbed me, and I was like, "Whoa!" And it was heavy, but it sounded a little bit different. But also, they really stood out from the pack. I don't know if it was because of the musicianship or just the way that Chris Cornell sang, because I mean, you could say any vocalist's voice is an instrument, but he really weaved a tapestry and had a lot of different textures with his vocals.
Yeah. Yeah. Very like Robert Plantish a little bit with this, with the way he screamed and
Yes.
stuff like that. Mm.
Yeah. And that was what really made me jump up and have attention. I mean, at one point I bought Nevermind. I bought 10 by Pearl Jam, but I was done with that shit within about 6 months or so, because there were other Soundgarden, Melvins, Alice in Chains that were just so much more interesting and varied to me.
Mhm.
AIC was another early one that popped up because, yeah, Man in the Box had a video.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that's one of the ones I first remember is Man in a Box and Rusty Cage and Outshined. Oh, they were on Headbangers Ball all the time, and
Actually, you know what? I think it was actually Man in the Box and Outshined I saw first. Like I might have heard Smells Like Teen Spirit on the radio, but I
mm,
wasn't really crazy about that. So it was those two videos that really made me go, "Oh, this is cool."
yeah. Yeah, definitely remember those videos. What about you, Lou?
My first experience of grunge was watching Grover, Cookie Monster, Harry Monster, and Frazzle sing Fuzzy and Blue on Sesame Street.
What?
It wasn't Oscar singing "I love trash."
Oh, that's true. That was the first grunge song. Thank you, Sesame Street, for giving us grunge before grunge. No, in all seriousness, 1991, I didn't know that it was a thing. I was listening to my brother's cassettes, and what cassettes was I listening to at the time? Black Album, Van Halen's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, David Lee Roth's A Little Ain't Enough. And then one day in 1992, back when we still had the VHS player and recorder, And back when Saturday Night Live was still funny, Nirvana was performing Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I was like, well, it's heavy, but it's not heavy metal. But I think I like it. And within 6 months, I was sick of that song because I found it completely overexposed. But then I didn't think much of it. But then I saw Wood from Alice in Chains. And that was a song that made me a fan of this new semi-metallic, this new sound. It was semi-metallic. It was definitely harder edge, but it was grittier. But I wouldn't have called it grunge. I would have just called it, hard rock.
Right.
I think the name grunge actually solidified its death as much as it solidified its existence. Because well, that's what the machine does. It brings something up just to have something there in its wake, and then when they're ready to pull the trigger on it, bang, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my truth.
What about you, Manny?
Oh, that's the first so-called grunge band I heard was Soundgarden, Louder Than Love, but they didn't call it grunge. This is before any of that came out. My Mother Loved Bone, because I had put out an album, even though Andrew Wood already died, but they didn't call that grunge either. But the first band, I remember the first time I heard Nirvana, I was in a car with a bunch of people. I think we're all hammered or something as usual, but we were going somewhere. And Nirvana came on, and it sounded like a breath of fresh air because radio back then was, as much as I liked pop, hair metal, I was sick of it. I was even sick of Guns N' Roses as much as I liked them. And I was getting bored with music. I mean, not totally. I was listening to other stuff, but, at least what was on the radio. And
also was on the radio, Mr. Big. What's that song?
To Be With You.
To Be With You, and
Yeah,
fucking Great White, and with Once Bitten Twice Shy was always on the radio.
Yeah,
it's the same old shit over and over.
I never liked that song.
Then nothing much has
I
changed.
like Ian
Radio
Hunter's
still-
original version of it, but I didn't like Great White's cover. I thought it was kind of strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all right, but it just sounded like
It is. It sounds off though. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Something about it just doesn't quite sound right, and
I
Yeah,
know
I
what
can
it
tell you
is.
what it
Great
is,
White
Dave.
was not that good of a band.
Yeah, they're no Ian Hunter. How about that?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just sounded like I thought it sounded fresh. I had no idea what the lyrics are for a long time. Mulatto, whatever. I do think
My
he's
libido a mosquito. Yeah, that's real poetry.
well, I
Well,
think
it's a good
about
rhyme
the-
scheme.
Yeah, I think
It
it's
is,
about the
but
meter.
But it certainly doesn't beat my bitch is on the rag. Bloody hole is such a drag. Now there's your good lyrics from Seattle. El Duce.
But anyway, it just sounded fresh, and I liked it. So
Yeah.
it's funny that because I'm the oldest one here, what the age difference is.
Yeah,
Like, you
listen,
guys-
you're the only ageist here. No one's bringing up your age, man. Take it easy.
No, I will. He is old.
I'm bringing it up because Stan and Wayne and you, well, not you so much, Luke, because you had older brothers, but that your introduction to music, what's this era of music, that we're talking about. I was already 20 in 1990. You guys were still discovering music.
We're still sucking on our mother's teats.
Hey, I was just
Yes.
really getting into music a lot when all this stuff started coming out. So
I was also getting into my brother's porno collection. What? Who said that? Sorry. Moving right along.
Well, I
I was
was
a couple
getting
years younger, so I was getting into the music, but I was more worried about TMNT than I was porno.
all right, let's get to our top 10 songs. Stan, you want to go first? We'll do 5 each, and then we'll go to the next person, and then we'll come back.
Did you say 5 each?
We'll do 5 each, and then once we get around back to you again, we do the next 5.
Yeah, so I mean I quickly jotted the list down. I didn't write notes because I just didn't have time. But
You come not prepared to this show.
I'm sorry, bro.
Come
I
on, man.
had shit to do.
We
All right,
actually had this topic
me
ready for like
too.
2 days.
You decided on this like just today, probably.
No, it was
right?
yesterday.
Last night or something.
Yeah.
Come on. All right.
We were drinking. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Stone Temple Pilots, Interstate Love Song.
Oh, it's terrible.
Fuck you, you're terrible. All right. So yeah, I just like the
Can't remember which one that is right now.
That's
You would remember it if you heard
The
it.
one that sounds like Harry Chapin.
here, I'll play it. Hold on.
Bobby
Okay.
Kimball.
No, we'll get kicked off.
Oh, don't play it.
No, I know what it is now. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Lou
mean,
helped with
supposedly,
Harry
like
Chapin.
the lyrics are like very negative as typical in the grunge genre, but I like how they sort of contrast with the rather upbeat melody and stuff. So it sounds like a really happy song
Mm.
when in reality it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
hated them, by the way, when they first came out.
yeah.
And what was that Sex Type Thing song came on, and they played that on Headbangers Ball all the time too. And that song, I was just like, damn, this is terrible. I couldn't stand the guy's voice. I didn't like his voice. Just
I
the
actually,
looks.
wow.
Wow.
You
actually-
hated the entire core album. You just hated
the
Sex Type
whole
Thing.
thing, the whole entire album. I gave it
Wow.
a try, and I was like, I don't understand why people
Yeah,
like it.
That's
I
a
agree
shame.
with Wayne. I didn't get it until years later when
It-
somebody forced me to listen to
Yeah,
it.
I did not get into them until what is that, album 4? I think it's called, or album 3.
The one with
I think it's
Sour
four.
Girl.
The one with
Which
the star
is
on
a
the
great
front cover.
song.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you just liked it because Sarah Michelle Gellar, aka Buffy the Vampire Slayer, was in the video. You perv.
I don't remember what video.
Oh yeah, Buffy the Vampire Day.
don't
Oh, spent
Anyway.
many nights with her. Anyway, go ahead.
Hey, I'll
Man,
take
you
her
hate
and Christy
yourself.
Swanson. I'm hardcore.
You showed her your love bone. Continue, Stan.
Yes.
Oh mother.
So I mean that's all I got. But
I said
That's-
5. Pick 5.
all right.
Didn't
So
do
the next
fine.
one, I mean, I picked one, per band. I mean,
That's what I
obviously there's
figured.
That's what I did.
When we expanded it to alternative and grunge, I picked
there's
different bands.
there's a few, I could have picked, but whatever. All right, Nirvana, Come As You Are. I know, Greg mentioned earlier that it sounds like Killing Joke's 80s.
No, it doesn't sound like it. It is that.
I mean,
song.
it's why because of
I
the
never heard
watery
it.
guitar effect or
I
something
never
like
heard
that.
song.
I mean,
We'll check it out right now. It's called the 80s. Is that what it's called?
80s,
Yeah, living. I don't.
It's
I've
not
heard
just
other
the
people.
guitar effect.
I don't
It's
really.
the rhythm line. Everything is. Just,
I don't-
Let's
He
see.
I don't
changed
think
the tempo slightly, but that is totally the same song.
Are you gonna get demonetized or something like that?
No, I'm
or-
not gonna play it.
Maybe-
I'm listening to myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Oh my god, yes. They slowed it down.
they slowed it
Yeah.
down.
Wow.
See, it's exactly
But I think it's-
the same.
I think it's just having that effect on that, that guitar pedal thing that really kind of did it in. I mean, just
Wow.
they just
Well,
didn't
they
use.
that song just influenced them, but influenced them so much they just completely ripped. it up.
Regardless, I like the melodies. I like the dynamics. It's a good song. All right, I'm gonna move on.
I like that
next-
song. That's actually on my list. So
Alice in Chains, Rooster.
Rooster, all right.
I really
Alright.
like. I like the. I think it's about Vietnam and stuff like that.
That is fun.
It is. His dad was a pilot.
Yeah, it's I really like the main melody, like that. It almost sounds really poppy,
Hmm.
and it's, like they harmonize that, like, against this really dark, brooding, moody atmosphere and stuff. So I really like that dynamic too. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Nobody did it better.
I mean, I think, I don't know. I was gonna say that, Lane was probably the best grunge singer out of all of them, but I don't know,
Mhm.
man. Something about Cornell is just
Yeah, between
he's
him
got
and
that
Cornell,
little
yeah.
bit extra. He's got that little bit of extra, that little, that extra 10% that just makes him
Yeah.
stand on top, atop, over everyone else. Um, but yeah, all right, moving on. Blind Melon, No Rain,
Oh, great
classic.
song.
I mean,
Wow.
it's another one of those weird songs where it sounds like happy and shit, but the lyrics are just fucking depressing.
Yeah.
But yeah, catchy melodies and stuff. This was one of my favorites, back in the day, still is, and the only song that anybody really remembers from Blind Melon, I mean, they kind of just
They're
I,
all
I
I
guess
a one hit wonder, right?
I
they're
remember Tones
one.
of Home.
I think that's a shame because I think they had a lot of great songs. But anyway, continue.
All right, so that was four. Okay, number five. I'm gonna go with the Flies. Got You Where I Want You.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
an obscure pick.
Wow, man, obscure. Go
I
ahead,
was
continue.
I was just listening to the Flies on the Crow Salvation soundtrack. Oh man,
Yeah. What soundtrack did you say?
Crow Salvation.
Okay.
Was that the
It was a
second
it was a
movie?
that was the third one that was supposed to go to theaters, but it went direct to video. And
They deserve to go direct to video.
I'm not arguing that,
Think
but
about it.
the soundtrack
Go
was
watch the movie, get the soundtrack.
the soundtrack was decent though. I'm sorry, Stan. Continue.
Yeah, so another band that that's considered a one-hit wonder, but what a hit it is. It's a really catchy tune, and I like the that whole like reggae influence part that they had at the end that they put through in. So that was really nice too. Uh, yeah, so that makes five, and I got another five. I got another six,
Yes,
seven,
it
eight,
is a
but
top 10.
yeah,
I got your five right here.
uh,
Sorry.
yeah. So that's my first five.
All right, Greg.
Soundgarden, Hands All Over, one of the first songs I heard by them after buying, an album.
Mm.
It just great overall, great work from Kim on guitar. I suppose you can have whatever opinion you want because they got more popular later on, but I really preferred Hiro Yamamoto's bass playing on the earlier albums as compared to Ben. Not that Ben's bad. Hero had more of a geezer feel to him, is what it was. Hang on 1 second. I have to find where I wrote this down. Honey Bucket by the Melvins. Great tune. Wrote another Soundgarden one down here. 4th of July from Super Unknown. That's a great
Favorite
tune.
Soundgarden song,
Yeah. Is it really your favorite song? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Almost nobody seems to remember that one. I don't know if it's because it's like too dark, but it's one of the greatest things they ever did.
I don't think it really ever got it was never a single, it never did anything, it was just on the album.
Yeah, that's true. They kind of made like every other song on that album a single except for that.
Yeah. I always wanted to cover that song too because it is my favorite. It's not on my list, but it is my favorite sound.
Yeah, everything on that album is awesome.
Yep. I prefer the earlier stuff, but I love Super Unknown. Bad Motorfinger had a couple I wasn't crazy about, but it's
still a good album. Yeah.
Yeah. No Excuses, Alice in Chains, an acoustic one, but I
that's an interesting
love that
pick.
too. Well, Lane had a great voice and he could harmonize very well, especially with Cantrell, and that's why I think their acoustic stuff worked out so well.
Mm. Yeah.
And hang on, I got that was 4, I think.
Was that 3? What was that 4? I'm losing count now.
That was 4 because I said Melvin.
Yes. All right.
And here's one, since I call it alternative and not grunge, and you guys can, oh, that sucks. Oh, that's too commercial, but it's not any more commercial than Nirvana. It was still alternative, and let's face it, it was a chart burster for a reason, and that is Hold My Hand by Hootie and the Blowfish.
God damn, that sucks. Oh, man.
How dare you?
I won't deny him that. I mean, I thought that guitar solo was quite grungy, so I'll allow it.
I'm kidding, Greg.
I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that.
I would.
You
I
just
was
came
not
out of
either.
nowhere with
I don't
that.
even know who you are right now.
I appreciate the Hootie love.
Dude,
I
Factory
I
Review is a
appreciate it
great
too.
album.
And Greg, I no longer know you. Continue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that was 5, so we can move on.
Hey, I'll back Greg up on it.
Hold my hand.
You do have.
Oh,
Blue-
you.
Hold my hand.
I mean, they definitely didn't keep it up quality wise as they went on, but that is a monster album, and I think it deserves the praise it gets.
It's the shit everybody in
I-
college was listening to.
Yeah, he's gonna have
Well, you
blues
could
travel.
say
on
the
this,
same thing about
next-
Nirvana. That's what I mean, and that's why I think it all kind of falls under the umbrella of alternative, and especially with this era and this genre, I find it really funny what people absolutely hate and then how they compare it to what they love. And that's what I mean. You can say whatever you want, but there ain't a whole hell of a lot of difference between Nirvana, Hootie and the Blowfish, and the Spin Doctors.
You know, to Hootie's credit, though, I remember there was a Zeppelin tribute that came out in '95, Economium, and I thought I was not really a fan of a lot of the songs that were on it, like the cover versions. I thought Sheryl Crow's cover of Jamaica, I'd like to, bury her in a hole in Jamaica, if you get what I'm saying. But Hootie did a great version of Hey, Hey, what can I do? I mean,
Yes.
it definitely showed where there was artistry in that band on that song. So, I'm not going to fault them for being a diamond selling band off their first album. It's right place,
Yeah.
right time.
I think that not that that's a problem. I'm not a Hootie fan at all. I don't like him at all. But
Interesting.
I
I'm
think-
shocked because you like everything.
I
I do.
really thought you would have liked that, especially with a lot of the other things you liked from the 90s.
no, it might have been I just heard it too much, one of those things. But what I will say about that is I think their second album sold like 2 million or something, and everyone's, oh, what a failure. Whatever. It's ridiculous. Matter of fact, if Hootie and the Blowfish got together tomorrow and did a tour, I guarantee it'd be a sellout tour.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, the nostalgia factor.
Yeah. I
Time
mean,
was
those
amazing.
songs.
With the
Those
Dave
songs
Matthews
are-
Band.
No,
They never broke up.
Dave Matthews is a whole separate thing.
Yeah, that's
We're not
different.
talking about Dave Matthews on this.
Yeah, but Hootie and the Blowfish, they they crossed over to they became their name. They were so famous. They were a one line in that Tom Cruise movie. I'm not Hootie, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean that was they probably broke up because that kind of fame is just ridiculous. I mean, 10 million. I think it was a diamond album. You are right, Greg?
Yeah. No, it
Yeah,
went diamond
sure it
within
was,
the
yeah.
first 2 years it came out. I think
Well,
I think it actually shipped, and I might be thinking of a different album, but I'm pretty sure it was that Hootie album. I'm pretty sure it shipped 980,000 copies in its first month.
It probably did, but that what I like the most about it is they mentioned Bob Dylan in the song, so that right there is cool in itself.
Timeless Basis said Greg just called the next RSR and Friends cover song. We're not doing that.
Wait,
I
say
don't
that
wanna be
again.
with
What did
you,
George say?
He said you just called the next RSR and Friends cover song, the Hootie and the Blowfish.
Can I sing
think
it?
that would actually be really badass.
It would, as long as I can sing it. You guys gonna let me sing it?
No.
No.
You guys. suck.
Al Horta said Hootie and the Blowfish just did a tour last year. Him and his wife saw them in Tampa. I'm
I
surprised
didn't even know they were
invite
back
you,
together.
Me neither.
Well, I don't know. I don't pay attention to those Hooties and their Blowfish.
I don't either. All right, Lou, what's
I mean,
your
I know Darius Rucker had a very successful country
he still
career,
is. He still
He still has he's still a
and he was on a couple of Burger King commercials.
Wait a minute, his
Well,
name's not Hootie?
No, sorry to disappoint you. It's Darius Rucker singing about a girl on a nice caboose.
I just still heard his name
You
is not
gotta let
Hootie.
her cry.
All right. Lou,
Anyway,
your
that's a
top
good
five.
one, Greg. If you picked that one, I would have been just as happy with that. All right, so
Maroon
The-
5.
the Shut the fuck up with you and your Maroon 5.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
lot of-
wait, Lou, will
What?
you hold my hand while you read the list? Go ahead.
I got something you can hold right down here. You poof. Anyway,
It's
So-
too heavy. Give me a hand.
so I'm gonna lump in some of what they call the desert rock bands.
Oh my
With-
God.
What the fuck?
Queens of the
Well-
Stone Age.
No, not Queens of the Stone Age, but
Oh, yeah,
prior.
probably.
That was on my list.
What is desert rock music?
So
with,
have you ever heard of a band called Fu Manchu?
yes.
Yes.
So Fu Manchu, grungy in their look, grungy in their sound. For all intents and purposes, they're more of like a punk type band. But
Hmm?
I could hear their music played with Soundgarden or Alice in Chains. I think it would fit.
Right.
So my number 10, I'm gonna pick Evil Eye from Fu Manchu. That was my first Fu Manchu album, actually. The Action Is Go, produced by Jay Younger, who was the former guitarist in White Zombie. And it's a killer rock record. I suggest people out there give it a second chance. My number 9. They only had one album, and it's a shame, but what an album it was. The album is Above, the band is Mad Season, and the song that I'm gonna pick is River of Deceit. That song just spoke to me,
I did not like it.
You did not like Mad Season.
Nope.
I like that song, but I'm with Wayne. I don't never like the rest of
Huge.
the album.
No, there's like nothing there for me. I'm a huge Lane Staley fan too, because I liked it because of his singing. And I listened to it. Actually, I just got it not too long ago, a couple of years ago, and listened to it. I'm like, I don't know what the hell the big deal was, because it's not that good.
I'll just pick the 4 songs that people should check off that album: River of Deceit, Lifeless Dead, I Don't Know Anything, and Long Gone Day. Just add those 4 songs to your playlist. Scratch the rest. But those 4 are great.
If you like the album, who cares? A lot of people love that album. It just doesn't do nothing for me.
I like it. Anyway, continue.
My number 8.
I love.
Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm cutting you off. But the funny thing is, I love River of Deceit. That's a great song. It's just one of them weird examples where I really like one track and the rest of the album just doesn't do anything for me. I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just couldn't get into it.
See, I willingly admit I grew to like them because of the songs from them I was hearing on the radio. 3 of the 4 that I mentioned were actually played all the time on Q104.3 back when they were a rock station, not a classic rock station. The next selection, number 8. Now I'm going to pick Caius, but I'm not going to pick Demon Cleaner because everyone who, even if you've never heard of Caius, you know that one. And I like Demon Cleaner a lot. I think it's a great song. But I'm going to go from their first album, Wretch, and I'm going to pick the song Cats and Jammer because it's, you know that one?
Yeah, I have all their albums. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Anyway, continue.
I mean, just a fast freaking doing 120 in your car, driving down the LIE while, you're swerving, getting some head on the highway. That's not that I would know what that feels like, but I mean, it sounds like it's a fun song for that to happen to. What am I doing?
Look at that. My influence is rubbing off. I'm very proud of myself.
Stop rubbing yourself on me, Manny. I'm not interested. Next song, number
But-
7.
Well, you don't have enough baby oil on you. Anyway, continue.
Baby Oil Blues, right? Next
It is
hit
Pride
track.
Month.
I remember when they put the Green Machine video on. That was another one. That was on Headbangers Ball. All the stuff, all this, everything was on Headbangers Ball that I saw, and instant. I love that song instantly.
So the next 2 songs I'm actually going to pick are from the single soundtrack. Aside from The Crow, the single soundtrack was probably one of the few soundtracks that really made a huge impact on me at the time because it was just chock full of great songs. So number 7, I'm going to pick Birth Ritual by Soundgarden. I mean, even though I'm a deep cut guy, you know that. But it's funny because I saw the videos for Outshined and Rusty Cage, and I really, really like the songs. But for some reason, when I heard Birth Ritual, it's like that's what made me a Soundgarden fan.
Yeah.
You know, just the impact of the song. And I couldn't understand a word Chris Cornell was saying, but it sounded cool anyways, you know, and friggin' Kim Thayil just ripping his guitar to shreds. You know, definitely my favorite Soundgarden member.
Yeah.
And my number 6, even though
You're
it's
going
the
too
only
far. Going too far. Only 5.
no, that's my top
Oh,
5.
you're going backwards. Okay.
Yes. And for number 6, it's the only song from Screaming Trees that I know, but I do love the song Nearly Lost You. You know,
Oh.
it's like if Cheap Trick wrote like a 90s alternative song. And I think that's what I really liked about it. You know, to their credit, I feel like a lot of the grunge bands, they definitely showed their influences on their sleeve, and I don't think they were ashamed to admit what their influences were. And I don't think that any blame could be placed on them for what happened in the 90s, because they were just like, you know, they weren't trying to kill anyone from making money playing music. They just wanted to get their stuff out there. And, you know, I tend to think of music as Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. There's something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the stupid machine that makes it so that you know successful artists of the past die out, you know, 10 years after they're formed, only to have some kind of resurrection when it comes time for their 20th anniversary. Like, where have you been? We never left.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true. Manny.
Well, I want to do an honorable mention, the Monkees, not because they're alternative, but because, like most alternative bands, everyone in the band is dead except one guy. So that's why they're honorable mention.
That's
And
very
go,
cryptic.
and go buy something from Mickey Dolenz, because he has a thing on his website, buy all his monkey stuff, and he donates anything that you buy to a Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah, you better
Go bust
grab
it.
it now
I should
before
like-
he rides that last train to Clarksville.
Well,
Yeah.
I actually like the Monkees a lot. But
I do
number
too.
5, it's a band that I really like. I don't know if you guys like them or not, but Smashing Pumpkins. But I'm going to pick the song Mayonnaise. Not only
Love
because
that
it's
track.
I do too. Not only because it's my safe word when I'm at a P. Diddy party, but also I think it's a great song. And just it's a great song. All right, number 4, Pearl Jam, Black. What I really like about alternative grunge or whatever you want to call it, as much as I like the hair metal bands, pop metal, and as much as I like thrash, and I still like that, I've not sold any of that stuff down the river. As a person, I couldn't relate to Motley Crue. You know, as much action as I want to be getting, you know, I couldn't relate to Too Fast for Love or Girls, Girls, Girls. You know, I think I'd been to one strip club by then. You know, anyway.
If it
and
came out now,
Black-
though, it'd be a different story.
Oh, no, are you kidding? I'm banging about. Anyway, Black.
If it came out now, it'd be like, girls won't do nothing without your consent. Girls.
That's true. But the song Black, I just remember I just really like the lyrics. I like the mood. I think it's just one of those great songs. I don't even know if it gets played on the radio anymore. But
Yeah,
that's
I hear
my-
it here once in a while.
Well, I don't listen to radio because they play the same bullshit.
I don't
over and
either, but
over.
just happen to hear radio on somewhere.
Yeah, if I'm
Mm.
somewhere, on a car with somebody, I agree. Well, I'm going to mention the same song, Sean, that Stan did, Blind Melon, No Rain. I love that song, but what it reminds me of is this girl in college that had red hair, and so we'd get in her car, and that song would come on. Ah, she was hot. Where's that baby oil when I need it, when I think about her?
That's
Anyway,
his
but that's a
Katzen
great-
jammer.
Oh man, Blind Melon. But she loved that song. It's actually funny. It's a great album, but I heard the whole album. She would only play that one song. She paid whatever cassettes were. They'd play that song, rewind, play. She was so hot I didn't care. She was in my car. And then, one day she got sick of my shit and I never saw her again, but I had to take. Anyway, that's Blind Melon. And here's a band that nobody talks about, but I think are great. Morphine, Honey White. Morphine, the guy died on stage, Mark Sand.
Mark
He used to
Sandman,
play-
yeah.
Yeah, he was great. But Morphine, what a great band. Real moody kind of music, just really cool. And Stan reminded me of these guys, and I forgot how much I love them. Live, selling the drama. Actually, I could have put any song here from Throwing Copper, and it's a great. I like most of their stuff. The only album I don't like is the first one is a little too pretentious, and the one they did without Ed, whatever his name is, sucked. But selling the drama, again, I could have picked a deep cut. I could have picked Lightning Crashes, I Alone. Excellent album, and that's my first five.
I'm sorry, you don't like the album with the song "Pain Lies on the Riverside"?
Is that the first one, right?
Yeah. What is that? God, what was that called? Hold on.
Yeah, it's got the purple cover on it.
Right.
Mental Jewelry.
Mental Jewelry. That's the one.
No, I didn't like it. Musically it was okay, but I think he was trying to do a Bob Dylan. You know how Bob Dylan throws in 9 billion words within 12 bars? Well, the reason he can do it because he's Bob Dylan, but on that live album was just too wordy.
Well, just remember they were kids when they wrote those songs. They were like 19, 18. So I guess I think with Throwing Copper they became much better songwriters. But I can't knock a band of teenage kids who are.
I don't think it's horrible, Lou, but compared to Throwing Copper,
it's apples and oranges. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Throwing Copper first. I did not hear Mental Jewelry when it came out. I would love to tell you, I got into live, before they got famous. I did. I got into live because I saw them on MTV, and I really loved selling the drama. Anyway, that's my five.
Very good choice.
Cool.
Good stuff.
I'm just going to kind of blow through these because we've talked about these bands already. These are just easy picks. Alice in Chains, Wood. Great song. Nirvana, Come As You Are. Pearl Jam. I was going to pick Black, but I ended up picking Rearview Mirror from Animal
song,
Versus. It's an awesome song.
Awesome.
It's very catchy. It's a very kind of almost poppy-ish, but it's a very good song. And Smashing Pumpkins, Bullet with Butterfly Wings. I can pick a lot of Smashing Pumpkins songs, but that one, that's the one that made me like Smashing Pumpkins because I hated them before that song came out. Like I couldn't stand them. And that just made me, go out and go buy that album. Became an instant fan since that song. And my number 5, the first video I saw this band, Soundgarden, Rusty Cage.
Awesome.
Awesome, dude.
Awesome.
Just love that guitar, that intro. Just that intro alone, just that buzzy guitar sound thing going on. It sounded like a siren or something, in the beginning there and in the video, and just cool
a lot
shit.
of the intros were so great, like Hands All Over that I picked. I love
that's a good one too.
Guitar riff with them drums, and then Chris's voice gets higher and higher, and it just kicks into it. And of course, his first line is "Don't touch me."
Right.
Yeah.
I'll never forget seeing. I saw that video too on Headbangers Ball because I saw Rusty Cage was first, and then after that, I bought the album, and then I didn't know they had any other albums, and then that song came on one of the episodes, and I'm like, well, God damn, that's a freaking good song too. What the hell album's that on? And I found out they had more albums. I'm like, damn. Back then they just didn't know.
What we didn't mention about those Soundgarden albums, Louder Than Love and Outshine, those things are very well produced. I think it's Terry Date on one of them. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but his production on there is amazing. You can say Butch Vig did a great job with Nirvana. He did, but Butch Vig was the John Mutt Lang of the grunge era. Nothing wrong with that, but man. And what's amazing is Terry Date, I think, later produced Pantera. So he wasn't one of these producers that was chasing a sound, like a Mutt Lang or Butch Vig. He let the band be a band. But Greg, great choices, Wayne on Soundgarden, and that the production is phenomenal. Anyway, who's next?
Dan.
Okay.
The next 5.
So, for talk about the last five. Just wanted to mention a couple of honorable mentions. You know, Lou was talking about Desert Rock. I had Queens of the Stone Age with No One Knows. The Strokes, Reptilia, and Radiohead, Paranoid Android. I know they're not grunge, but it's alternative. I
They
No,
guess.
it's
start their first
alternative.
album was the alternative grungish.
They are one of the few bands that I absolutely outright hate and just
Me
hear
too.
nothing
Okay.
of any musical value in anything they've ever done.
Okay.
And
Then we're
usually
not going
I
to
can
talk
look
about.
at things objectively, and they are one band that has just baffled me. The fan base that they have, not getting on you, Stan. It's
Yeah.
just I don't get it.
I
And
don't either. I'm agreeing with Greg on that one.
All right. So number five, I'm gonna go with. First of all, I hate their fucking name, Live. Lightning Crashes. You know, I mean, that's probably the first song I ever heard, and I really like that one. I don't understand how you could call your band Live. Like, how do people fucking look for you? I remember there was this like prog rock band. There, there's this prog rock band called The Music. How the fuck am I supposed to find you online? Do I Google The Music Band? There's gonna be like a million fucking results that are not even related to your fucking band.
funny story
Live
similar to that,
band.
Stan. So and that this was before I could had a computer, could use it for all that, just looking shit up in books and music guides. There is a prog band called If from the 70s. It took me a year and a half to find them first two records.
Yeah,
You
that's
know how many things have If in the title?
I
can
guess you
hate
could
this.
say this. I guess you could say the same issue about the band from Canada.
Yeah, there's another good one. Yeah.
No, yeah, but they're not really. You know why, Lou? Because they're not only critic starlings, but the band actually were huge. So were Live, but Live weren't around in the 60s and 70s. They'd probably be easy to find. Yeah, yeah. Well, Live is easy to find because they were famous. So that's the but. If my God, Greg, you really went obscure. I know who they are, and even I don't remember how I know who they are. It was from you from days on the Heart of Metal board or something. I don't know.
I discovered them because my uncle gave me a cassette bootleg because I've always been a Mata Hoople fan since I was about 6 or 7 years old, and they opened for Mott on All the Young Dudes tour for part of it.
That's a very weird billing, sir. Anyway, back to you.
Oh, the 70s, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
all right. So yeah, you know, Ed Kowalczyk, you know, he's a very underrated singer in my opinion. I mean, he has a great voice. At least he did back then. I don't know what he sounds like now, but yeah, he's definitely, you know, up there in the alternative, you know, world. But anyway, number four, you know, Pearl Jam Black. I mean, to me, that's their epic. You know what I mean? Like that's their Kashmir. I don't know. It just sounds. It's all the bells and whistles. Number three, Soundgarden, Outshine.
Mm.
Very heavy, very heavy, and more heavy. So, I mean, you know, what is there to say? I mean, like, you know, Soundgarden is probably the best grunge band of all time. Chris Cornell, the best grunge singer of all time. I mean, like, what can I add that hasn't been already said? Anyway, number two,
Heavy.
Heavy. Number
Heavy,
two,
man.
311, Beautiful Disaster. Um, you know, this is a song that, like, you know, that seamlessly blends numerous styles together. I mean, you have the heavy riffs, you have the reggae verses, you have the Iron Maiden harmonies, and they all just come together very well. And you know, this is a song that whenever it comes on Spotify or whatever, I just never skip it. I always listen to it. It just puts me in a, you know, good mood. And for me, number one, Muse, Newborn.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
that's
Wow.
New Muse had to be in there.
You know, not grunge, they're alternative, but that is a fucking awesome song. I mean it's like it's 6 minutes long and it's got everything. It's got the heavy riffs, it's got the Queen influence piano, all that stuff like that. It's got synths, it's got arpeggios, it's got dramatic vocals, it's got everything. It's one of their it's one of their big hits. It's very proggy too. So, but yeah,
I do love that song, but I think I prefer Dead Star. I think Dead Star is probably my favorite
Death
Muse
Star's
song.
cool too. I mean, Origin of Symmetry, that whole album is great.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the band live,
Yeah.
supposedly on MTV where they were interviewed when that first Mental Jewelry came out, they were asked where they got the name Live, and Ed Kowalczyk said, "Oh, Live spelled backwards is evil, and we're pretty evil guys." I'm like, someone
Whatever.
bought. So someone grab him by the ponytail and hit him with it, please. Anyways,
Yeah, then when you combine that and their music, you get the perfect recipe for the lamest thing ever.
Are the Foo Fighters considered alternative?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I'll throw the Pretender in there.
Foo Fighters, it's perfect music to
Because-
cheat on your wife with.
Whatever. Yeah. So that's it. That's my
Actually,
list.
he makes a really valid point.
That is all I got. All right.
All right, decent list. Greg,
Well, first I'll touch on just 311 when I was messing with Stan earlier. So I just never got big into them because yes, they had a lot of influences and did a lot of different styles in their music. It just never connected in a meaningful way to me. But and I felt like separated on their own, they could probably come up with something better, but as a band, they didn't do it for me. But anyway, so when I was in high school, I forget what class it was, but there was this kid that kept writing 311 rocks on this desk. So I took a piece of sandpaper, did it all out, and 311 sucks. Listen to Voivod. And so I did this a couple days in a row and he kept rewriting rocks. So I get in the class this one morning about a week later and there's this fucking half a page tirade written that starts off with, listen, dude, all this crap about 311 and then it ends with, you weird Canadians can keep to yourself.
Oh my god.
Most passionate plea I ever heard for 311. The best part is I was just doing it. Fuck, I didn't really care.
I mean, like when you think of any rock bands that came out of Nebraska, there's literally nobody but 311.
I didn't even know they came from Nebraska.
Yeah, they're Omaha,
actually,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Omaha
No,
Style
I
I think was
always,
their
I always heard good ideas in their music. I did just for me, I felt like they could never connect it, which was a shame because they had good ideas. But
I couldn't stand like the reggae type, the rap type.
now
they had
that
to-
was a little far for me. That I
Yeah,
kind of
it's too
felt
much.
like was disingenuous and a little.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna say an unpopular opinion right now. I prefer 311 to the Chili Peppers.
Ugh.
There we go.
Well,
That's good.
I'll be
Doesn't matter.
honest with you.
No wonder
I
why you
don't
got blood
think
coming
I
out of
can
your
really
ears.
make too much of an argument against that.
I mean, there's also no P3DOs in 311 either. So that helps then.
No songs about California.
Oh,
Well,
California. California.
And
I
Didn't
will
mention they were from
totally-
California.
Lay to waste both bands with my next pick, who for me is one of the
Voivod.
most important bands I've ever heard.
Well,
That also
technically-
has a funk style bass player that just puts both of those guys to shame. Sorry, Flea, but Too Many Puppies by Primus.
Okay.
Frizzle Fry. First of all, the first time I heard Frizzle Fry, I was going with a couple of my older friends down to Virginia to see a show. I forget who we were going to see now, but they put Frizzle Fry in and did not inform me that they put acid in my drink until it kicked in.
How'd it feel?
That is the most intense car ride I have ever gone on in my life. And there was a frog in that glove box.
What?
I did just
Okay.
shit I saw when I was tripping that went along with the music. But, yeah, Primus, alternative. I really think they were one of the best, most creative bands to come out of the 90s. And I know
I agree with that.
everyone remembers Sailing the Seas of Cheese and like known as Big Brown Beaver and all this shit, which is good. But Frizzle Fry is just amazing from beginning to end. And Too Many Puppies is just a killer song.
Actually, the first two Primus albums I owned were Suck on This and Pork Soda. So
I had Frizzle Fry and Suck on This.
Suck on This was great. That was the first time hearing Tommy the Cat. Loved it.
I loved them all up until they did the Brown album. That was the first one where I kind of went, nah, I don't know about this.
Mm. Yeah.
And then
Yeah, we don't talk about the Brown album.
No, they should have waited another year before they made that album. That was done at the wrong time. But anyway, I could talk about Primus for an entire show, and so we're not going to get into that. But yeah, love them. Les was just still is a great bass player and just has a unique style. And then Larry's total 360 from Possessed to that is just wild, but
Yeah.
very talented guitar player. And I often wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that he was taught by Joe Satriani, just because Satriani's very versatile too.
Well, I think he's-
Never thought
I've-
about that, Greg,
I've-
but you're probably right.
I think he's the best of Satriani's students because of his versatility. And I will say this: I did play Tommy the Cat live on stage once, and everyone was like, "My God, you played that solo great!" I'm like, "I just played all the wrong notes." You kind of have to when you're playing to a Les Claypool bass line.
Yeah.
And then go along and Manny, what I was talking about earlier when I said not Bob Dylan, but similar, One Headlight by the Wallflowers. I love that song.
Oh, great.
That's a great one.
alternative
That's a good
band,
album.
and he is just as good of a storyteller as his dad. And if that song doesn't give you goosebumps, you're not listening to music right.
Yeah, but Greg, what I'll say about Mr. Jacob Dylan, like his dad, he has a gift for words, but he doesn't try to sound like his dad. I don't mean vocally. I'm talking about musically and lyrically. He's his own man, and I like that about him.
Oh yeah,
He
me too. No, I wasn't
Yeah.
comparing him to his dad.
No, I know you weren't, but I'm talking about other people probably do. But what I really liked about him is he respects his father so much that he chose to be an individual. And that's how you respect your influences, father or not.
Honestly, Greg, you could have picked Sixth Avenue Heartache, and I would have agreed with you just as well.
Actually, you could have picked any song off that album.
The whole album's good.
One Headlight is just the song I heard first, and it totally blew my mind at the time.
Yeah.
So that'll honestly probably always be my favorite from that, even though I suppose it's the popular song. Same with the next one I'm going to name, Mother Love Bone, Stardog Champion. I know that's like the populist pick, but that was the first song I heard from them, and I love that tune.
That's a great song, and it's got great lyrics. And I wish Andrew Wood didn't die at the age of 24. I wish he'd stuck around. Well, there's so many artists we could talk about like that. I have a Mother Love Bone that's more obvious choice than that one, by the way, Greg. When I get to it.
Apple.
You'll see. You'll know what it is, but.
Okay. And yeah, it's funny because I talk a lot about corporate rock or whatever, and I know this song ended up being huge, but always loved that first Spin Doctors record, and Two Princes I think is a great song.
It's a good one.
It is a good song, dude.
Yeah.
Spin Doctors.
Yeah. I really yeah.
Dude,
You
not
guys
for nothing,
are
they're-
You have shocked me.
learning a lot of shit you would never expect me to pick, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're a fun
I'm
band to watch
shocked.
live. I saw
Hootie
Hootie
them.
and the
Blowfish,
Blowfish, Spin,
Spin
Doctors.
Oh yeah, I'm
Surprising
shocked.
us tonight, Greg.
Yeah, Greg. Even
Well,
if I said these
and-
answers, nobody would be shocked, but I'm shocked.
I mean,
it's
guys,
you.
it's not like he's jerking off to a poster
No,
of
but this is
Morrissey. All right, take it easy.
great. It's great. Come on.
But even
What a great
so,
idea,
even
jerking
though-
off to Morrissey. Thank you, Lou. Anyway,
Well, he
go
is a
ahead.
crying little pussy, but not very attractive.
I don't think he's ever seen one. I digress.
Oh, well, he has when he looks in the mirror. Anyway, continue.
But no, I mean, there's a lot of crap in metal I will go really hard at that I don't like because it's either playing it safe or it's not very super creative. And while as these bands like your Spin Doctors, like your Wallflowers, like Hootie and the Blowfish, it might have been super popular, but it was coming from a really honest place, and they weren't seeking the charts. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
happened.
A matter of fact, I think all those three bands, however I may feel about one of them, I think they were all shocked they were that successful, truthfully, all of them.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Because none of those albums, Spin Doctors, yeah, it may sound commercial to us now, or the Wallflowers, or even Hootie. But in reality, if you look at what was going on in radio, I mean, we have to take a time machine, but look what was going on in radio and MTV.
Mhm.
It's totally against what was, especially Hootie. Hootie's got a little bit of country influence, Eagles, Rolling Stones, but they sound like themselves.
Yeah.
See, I'm like a fan, but nothing sounded like that, at that time, period.
Thank
No.
God.
Yeah,
Timeless Basis says Temple of the Dog Hunger Strike is a great song.
absolutely.
And Al Horter says Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns by Mother Love Bone is the stairway to heaven of alternative, in his opinion.
Can't deny that.
I can't deny it either because that might be on my list
Oh.
And we'll get to that right after Lou.
after the
All right.
legendary Lou.
Oh,
Oh,
for
thank
my
you.
final song, I'm just
Oh, I
gonna-
thought you did 5 already. All right,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, no, but much like Soundgarden, who is one of my biggest influences this way, and why I picked 2 songs from them, I have to pick 2 Primus songs as well. And the second one would be Tommy the Cat, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Great shit.
Good soundtrack
pick.
too.
Yeah.
All right, Lou.
All right. First off, I just want to drop some honorable mentions. Sponge's Rotting Pinata. I think people should check that album out. So Mother Love Bone had the EP Apple, and they had the self-titled record, or unless it was called Star Trek Champion at the time. But in '92, they packaged them both together. So I suggest people check that out. Of course, Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns is on that, but I would also have to recommend the songs This Is Shangri-La and Through Fade Away, probably my other 2 favorite songs on that album.
Oh, Luke,
And-
can I give an honorable mention real quick?
By all means.
So, for as much shit as I give them, and yes, I still firmly believe one of the most overrated bands of all time, not from the 90s albums, but I will give a shout out to Nirvana's Negative Creep. I do think that is a great song, and that one, good lyrics, really honest, and truly different.
Cool. Another honorable mention. I have to give love to the band Hum and the album You'd Prefer an Astronaut, because that's the album that's got stars on it. And that song was just perfection, in my opinion. And one other album that I think is completely overlooked. In fact, I don't think anybody knows who this band is, but there was a band out of Ireland called Curb Dog, and they released a self-titled album in '93. I mean, one of the more harder edged alternative rock, hard rock metal albums that came out. I mean, to me, it's like, I was really a big fan of them and the band Therapy, and I would have thought Curb Dog would be better than Therapy if it hadn't been for one thing. This is their only album that's still in print. Therapy's entire discography is still in print, but this is the only Curb Dog album that's still in print. So I suggest everyone check that out from 1993. It's self-titled Curb Dog. And by the way, Stan 311, I saw them in concert at the Roseland.
Mhm.
Pina was wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. Tim Mahoney uh, played his ass off. That dude could shred, and that was my first time ever crowd surfing, and the glasses broke. My parents were
Wow.
pissed, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
It was fun. All
Yeah.
right, on to my list. So number
They
five,
sound like a fun band. They sound like a fun live band, you know.
they're tight live. Chad Sexton has such a great live drum sound, and he's totally locked in with Peanut on the rhythm. But again, Tim Mahoney, that's my guy. Okay, so my top 5 favorites grunge songs. Number 5, it was the first song I ever heard from the Melvins, and I remember when I first heard it, I was like, I need to learn how to play this song. It's so whacked out, but I love it. The song Revolve off of Stoner Witch. It's just
Good tune.
got a killer riff, but the lyrics make no sense whatsoever, and that was done on purpose. I think Buzzwell was just trying to mess with everybody, which it worked because the only lyric I understood from there was he's 79, you're 49. I think he was trying to show love to Going Blind from Kiss on that one, but I'm like, oh, what an age difference. I digress. Number 4, even though this is a later day Alice in Chains song, when I heard it, I was like, these guys are back for good. I love the song Check My Brain. I mean, that riff is just like, it's like a sledgehammer to the face. That's how good it is. And I really have to give it up to Cantrell and Duvall, because Duvall's not Lane. He's not trying to be Lane, but there's definitely a very good simpatico between both singers. You know, I mean,
They're still at top of their game, you know.
oh yeah, without a doubt.
I was very afraid of that album coming out, but I liked it.
Yeah. Number 3, I have to give it to the GOAT, the song that got me into Alice in Chains, Wood. That song is just creepy. It's moody. It hits you in the heart, and it just makes you uncomfortable because you know that they're singing about Andy Wood of Malfunction and Mother Love Bone. It was their tribute to him. And oddly enough, another song in my top 5 is also a tribute to Andy Wood, but want to give love to Alice in Chains is Wood at number 3. Number 2, my favorite Soundgarden song of all time, Jesus Christ Pose. Another song I got to play live and just went crazy playing it live because it drives you to it. You know, I mean, that's a song that's just balls out, like, you know I said sledgehammer to the face. This is a bulldozer to the face, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And my number 1, my favorite Pearl Jam album, Temple of the Dog. Yes, I know I say that, but I know it's not really a Pearl Jam album, but I'll take Pearl Jam with Chris Cornell over any Eddie Vedder any day of the week. And the song I'm going to pick is Say Hello to Heaven. I still get goosebumps when I hear that track.
Yeah. A lot of good songs on that album.
Hey, I didn't mention Say Hello to Heaven, but on a serious note, I know Wayne and Greg. I don't know if you've seen it, Lou. I haven't put it up, but when I was 19, my friend Patrick committed suicide.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and actually, my son Dylan Patrick is named middle name after him. Anyway, he was really young, and Say Hello to Heaven really hit me hard because it reminded me of him. Obviously, it's about Andrew Wood, but born in an island, and Patrick was born.
Oh, I thought that was just me that froze.
Yeah, me too for a second there. When you said something, I was like, oh, okay, I guess it wasn't me.
You froze, Manny.
Oh, did I?
Man, we may have to. Yeah, we
You're
may have to
here
ask you
now.
to repeat that story again.
You're here
Sorry.
now.
Okay. No, it's okay. I just saying that the song touched me because of my friend's death, and Patrick was born on an island, Hawaii, and the lyrics, and it just I'd had people die before because of life we were living, which I look back is ridiculous, but that's what I was doing. And anyway, I still miss that guy, even though I don't, he'd be God, he'd be 50 now. He's a little bit younger than me. It's hard to believe, you know. But he never got past being a teenager. Anyway, so it reminds me of Patrick. So great song.
A side note, if you're out there and you're disturbed by something and you're having these kind of thoughts, please seek help, because it's not fun going through them, and it's not fun putting your loved ones through it. There's plenty of suicide hotlines out there. Someone reach out. Thank you.
Hey, before I joined this podcast, I was gonna off myself, but I actually talked to someone and it helped. So now I'm here.
God damn it! Who was that gut person?
I
Wayne,
don't know, but now you guys have to. Now every episode, I make sure I mention Alice Cooper, even if it has nothing to do with it. But I already mentioned him earlier.
He
Mentioned
did.
him again.
well, I'm glad you're still with us, Manny.
Yeah, well, I am too. Think of all those chicks that would have been sad. Anyway,
Think about all those paternity tests you could have avoided. No, just kidding.
no, you're not. But anyway,
Maybe I'm not.
no. But anyway, that's. I didn't mean to get serious for a minute, but that
That
was
really brought the show down. Thanks.
Yeah, is Greg frozen?
No, he's on mute.
Oh,
No, he's frozen.
I'm
That's
just muted.
yeah.
okay.
Muted. All right, but anyway, great choices. All of you guys had great choices.
Thank you. Your turn now.
Al Horter said underrated album and band called Dig. Their debut from
Yeah,
1993. It's
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
best ultimate albums in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a
Somebody
they had,
mentioned
they
that
had a
band to me. I've never listened to them.
they had a great track called "Believe" back in '93. It was on the Buzz bin on
I gotta
MTV.
hop off. Great idea, Stan. Fun episode. I'll catch you
All
guys
right.
next
Yeah,
week.
glad
Cheers,
you came
Greg.
on.
Guys.
See you later.
All right, Greg, listen to some Culture Club. All right, go ahead.
Indeed, I will. After Brenda K. Star.
Oh, dear God.
Hey,
I'll tumble for you. Let's go, Manny.
all right, Tina
I
Marie.
can't believe
too.
you mentioned.
All
I can't
right.
believe you mentioned Brenda K. Star.
I can't either. That's awesome, actually. All right, number well, whatever order. Soundgarden, Sour Girl. I love that song.
You mean Stone Temple Pilots, Sour Girl?
them guys too? Stone Temple Pilots.
I was like, I don't remember that Soundgarden song.
No, I
Must have
did.
been
I
a
was
deep
looking
cut.
at some- It is. It's so deep they didn't even record it. Anyway,
Amazing.
Stone Temple Pilots, Sour Girl. I love the video because it's so weird, but I love the song. I don't know if I would have paid attention to the song without the video because I had the album and I would play it. And I liked it, but I didn't pay attention to it. Then I really heard it. And I love the lyrics. She was a teenage girl when she met me. She was a sour girl when she met me. She was a happy girl. Just great, good stuff. And I saw Stone Temple Pilots, which turned out to be the last tour with Waylon. And I was in the middle row. And I never forgot. And he wore a tie and a black, suit and tie. And he did his dance. And this girl was next to me. And because none of us thought he was going to make the show. Do you remember that when he was doing that?
Yeah. Yep.
And this girl grabbed my arm, goes, "He's really here! He's really here!" She was so excited. And wherever you're at, thank you, Scott, because you got me a good friend that night. Anyway, great song. All right, I picked Alice in Chains, We Die Young because that was the first song I heard by him. There used to be a metal record store in Tampa called Aces Records. It was at the flea market, and they sold bootlegs or whatever. It's a legendary store at, so much so they were at the Metal Museum, their banner. Anyway, the guy was the owner, gave me they re-released it for Record Store Day, gave me the vinyl copy of the single, and it was, I became an instant fan. All right, Soundgarden Outshine, because that was the first song that I really, really paid attention to. I already had, I'd heard Louder Than Love. I hadn't bought it yet, but Outshine, I really loved. They'll show you where the truth is. And a lot of this has to do with the lyrics, not just the music.
Mm-hmm.
And Nirvana, Heart-Shaped Box. I love Nirvana. I know Greg hates them. I don't give a rat's ass. I'm right, he's wrong. Heart-Shaped Box is a great song. And the only part that grief struck me was when Courtney Love claimed it was about her vagina, which made me question if I like vaginas anymore. But anyway, great song. And finally, Mother Love Bone, Chloe, Crown of Thorns. On Apple, it's just a Crown of Thorns part. I didn't own the EP till after the single soundtrack, and the single soundtrack had them combined, which works better, Chloe and Crown of Thorns. But that song again, lyrically, Andrew Wood just opening up his heart about his addiction, his relationship with his girlfriend, and the fact that he left us at 24. We could do a whole show on rockers that left us too early, and he's
Yeah.
definitely one of them.
You ever check out his other band, Malfunction?
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much.
No,
honestly.
really.
No. What about you guys?
I just found
I
out
heard
about
it.
like maybe 2 years ago, and I thought it was pretty good.
I'll have
I-
to listen again.
There's a lot of stuff of the 90s that I have to either revisit or listen to for the first time. There was that. There was an album that was released with I think 3 of the 4 members of Jane's Addiction without Perry Farrell. I think the name of the band was Deconstruction. I've been meaning to check that one out as well. I haven't heard anything good or bad about it, but I like Dave Navarro as a guitar player. So
It's actually not bad, dude. It's not bad. I don't
really, you've heard it? Okay.
Yeah, I have it. You're not gonna love it, but you're not gonna hate it either. It's not bad.
All right,
Cool.
my top 5. I'm gonna change this. I put Pushing Forward back from Temple of the Dog, but I'm gonna go with Hunger Strike because I can listen to that song all the time. Stone Temple Pilots.
Hungry.
Yeah, even though it's like the same
Sorry.
words over and over again, doesn't matter. Still a cool song. Stone Temple Pilots, Dead and Bloated. Great intro for that album. Weezer, My Name is Jonas. The first song off.
Great
the
one.
album. I never forget my friend gave me that cassette. He's like, you gotta check this band out. And instantly I love that band.
Knew I should have put Weezer on there.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go to some newer bands. Well, I only got 2 more choices here, but I'm going with the Killers, When We Were Young.
Yeah.
Hated
Great
that
track.
band. I hated that band when they first came out. My girlfriend at the time, she loved them and she listened to it all the time. And then I don't know what it was. Me and my friend were just in the car and he's like, here, check this Killer song out. And it was this song. And I loved it. I'm like, I guess I like the Killers now.
Are they
And-
more like indie rock than alternative?
They're alternative.
No,
They're Go
They're-
ahead. Sue.
I looked it
I-
up. They're alternative.
Are they like Franz Ferdinand or something like that?
No.
see, that's the funny thing. They came out at the same time as Franz Ferdinand and who else? The Kaiser Chiefs and there was one there was one band that came out around the same time. The singer was the drummer in the band Sim Scala Bim, and there was actually like a huge war between the Killers and his band. But they had some okay songs. You know what? I'm gonna find it. I'll get back to it. But you guys continue. But they kind of all sounded like that, but I did like the Killers. I thought they stood out.
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea what the hell that is. You have to tell me. Where was I? Oh, Foo Fighters, Rope.
Nice.
I like the Foo Fighters.
Nice.
I didn't like the
Wasting
first
Light is a
album.
great album.
It is. I think
Yeah.
that's their best album.
Yeah, that is their best album.
But I hated the first album. I didn't like how that sounded. Thought it sounded like crap. But then Color and the Shape was really good, and I loved them ever since. But it's and then another band to mention. I'm not gonna mention songs, but the band Pulp. I'm a huge Pulp fan, and this band was listed under alternative, but I don't really consider them alternative. But Porcupine Tree.
They're prog.
Yeah, they're more
prog.
prog, but
They're like a mix
but
of
they-
both.
they can fall into that alternative now. So
Yeah. I mean, I listened to a bunch of alternative stuff, but we've been doing a show for an hour and 42 minutes, and I think I've had enough.
I think so too. I'm done. I don't know.
I'm done. You
I
guys
told
are
you-
done.
Big words already, and
Yes. Mayonnaise.
mayonnaise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it was fun.
The Bravery. That's the band.
Right. Never heard of it.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
We should do an indie rock show.
We
Okay.
just did.
No, I'm eating another indie rock.
Yeah.
Indian rock.
Indie rock.
Oh.
Or like garage rock, like the Hives. You know, I like the Hives a lot.
Times rule.
Yeah, the Hives are
I
right.
actually have the hives right now,
I suggest you take some medicine for that.
and I think I'm gonna go do that. Peace out, fellas. Al Horta says, and peace out to you who was ever watching this show or listening. And please hit subscribe. And please go to severedangel.bandcamp.com or severedangel.com. Go buy the new album When Eternity Ends. Manny, I'm still holding your CD, so you better pay me soon.
Oh yeah. I'll message. I'll message you this tomorrow.
And send the money directly to Wayne since he's got to send it out to you.
And
Well, that's what we usually do it through PayPal, right?
yeah. And rest in peace to what the hell is his name? Jonathan Ross, I think his name is. He's one of the voice actors from the show King of the
Oh,
Hill. He
Joss,
plays,
Jonathan Joss, I think.
Jonathan Joss, yes, thank you.
He was murdered because he
Mur-
was gay. you know?
Yeah, I mean that whole story is very strange. I think there's going to be more coming out about that. I don't know. I keep reading and he's.
I don't know,
so,
but people
Very
hate
shame. So many people have died, and that show is coming back in August. And so many people have the Dale, the original Dale, the voice actor, he died. Now this guy died, and the other girl, the younger girl, died on the show too a couple years ago. So it's a shame. The show's coming back, and all these people are like,
You know what's a shame? They've all died, and Sean Puffy Combs is still alive.
still
All right.
alive. Yeah.
Yeah. And on
Say the
that
same thing
note,
about Kanye.
And so are we. We're still here too, and we'll be here next week. So join us. Until then,
Chewies.
gee whiz. Goodbye.
Good night and good luck.